anticipated matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Super Bowl 37.
They couldn't catch another shit. Cannons like the notice, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming out, so Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard?
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. And we're rolling through. We're getting closer and closer to the draft. I know you can feel it. It's just like that day before Christmas. It's almost Christmas Eve here, and you just, man, what are we gonna do? What are the Bucs gonna do? But you know what? Before I don't want to get too far ahead. I want to introduce my co-host, KB. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Gene.
So
15 days till the draft. 15.
You know, there's so much to talk about. And you know what? This show wouldn't be complete without our special guest here, Michael Pless from Real Bucs Talk. Great football mind. Guys, if you're not following him on Twitter, you really need to be. As we get closer and closer to the draft, these are one of the people that you do want to be following because he is in the know. And I love his thought process, and he actually thinks like a general manager, believe it or not.
Oh man, Gene, thank you. No, it's great to be back talking, football with you guys. And I promise I won't talk about Landon Dickerson tonight, but no, it's awesome. Yeah, like Ken said, only 15 days away from the draft, and it's nonstop, grind right now for Real Bucs Talk, and just really trying to get as many players as we can out there before we get to the draft. So we're really pushing content.
What makes this so interesting is normally you're having to look at maybe between 7 and 15 players at the top of the list, but here the Bucs are at number 32. So you've got to look at a whole lot more players to get an idea of who the Bucs might get when you're covering this. So I'm going to start with you, Michael. What is the process that you go through when you're like, okay, we need to come up with somebody that we want to cover that the Bucs could potentially get? Because what we're looking at right now is a team that's brought all their starters back, and they've brought in some players. They've upgraded. I mean, when you look at that, you've got Ronald Jones, you've got Leonard Fournette, Shady McCoy is gone, but they brought in Giovanni Bernard. Mm-hmm. That, to me, is a hell of an upgrade from Shady McCoy, and we look at his production with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then you bring in a Giovanni Bernard who's got nice hands. He can catch the ball.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and like you were saying earlier, as far as the process goes, I mean, it's it's just diving into what the scheme is on both sides of the ball, understanding, what Jason Light and Bruce Arians have shown to have interest in as far as players go, and really trying to find fits there. So when you look at, the players that we've looked at so far, a lot of them are, more scheme driven, guys that will fit the system, guys that can develop and really become productive players down the road. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of look at, all sorts of different angles. It's, guys for now, it's guys for, that could be developed and be somebody, maybe a potential star down the line. Most of it has been heavy on defense. Again, we feel like that is where the direction should be as far as in this draft, mainly defensive line. I think we've covered pretty much the top, the top edge guys. So when you're looking at, edge defenders and interior defensive line, that's where we've really hit the nail on the hammer. And there's still more to come. We still haven't finished yet. So, we brought out some offensive players here lately. Some offensive linemen are coming soon. We got some, running backs covered and some receivers on the way as well. So a lot more stuff, but it's been definitely a fun process, and it's always something that we're trying to improve because we're not perfect. It's not a science, unfortunately.
Absolutely not. I mean, when you're considering the Bucs can draft the best player on the board, they're not drafting for necessity. and that really widens the whole crowd, so to speak, in what you can do with that number 32 pick. KB, I want to get you in here, man. You've been awful quiet over there, bro. You all right?
Well, I mean, we talked about little Giovanni Bernard a little bit, but I mean, what he's going to offer is a little bit more even pass protection. We already know about the hands. Anyone who's played fantasy football, who's understands, points per reception, that's what Giovanni Bernard does. Don't think of anything special with him. He's filled in for Joe Mixon as the starting running back in Cincinnati. He didn't do well. That's not what he's here for. He's here for that third down role and that 2-minute offense. That's what he is. Don't expect anything more than that. I think you're going to still see a heavy dose of Ronald Jones, a heavy dose of Leonard Fournette. Hopefully we come out, run some play action, build a lead, and then just run the ball down people's throats. I think that's what you have to do in a 17-game schedule to be as healthy as possible. And then Gene, actually, before the podcast, threw out a question to me and Michael. So I took it upon myself to do some research in like 30 seconds. And we were talking about like the draft and all these different, where can the Bucs fill in some draft picks? I mean, I'm looking at our lads right now, who's probably not the most reliable source. But like when you look at, the names on the depth chart, I mean, fill in a couple of backup offensive linemen, a backup linebacker, a backup safety, some depth along the defensive line. That's a great problem to really have going into the draft where, you could get some guys that can maybe start, some guys that can sit and learn. There's no rush, no pressure. And I think we've seen it in the quarterback position. And I think a lot of, fans take that for granted. Oh, you have to use your first round, second round pick as high impact players must play now. Not exactly. I mean, for all these quarterbacks that are coming out, like if the Jets drafted Zach Wilson, I'd say sit him because that's the best way you can learn. If you draft an edge, sit him. If you draft an inside defensive lineman, sit him. If you draft an offensive lineman, sit him. Like there's no rookie that's really going to come on this roster and make a high impact right now. So sit back, take some really good players who have good personalities and can actually, learn. And then let's see where they are next year.
Michael, I'm going to get to you with the same question. But when I think about that, what if there's a player out there that comes in and competes? I remember when Lavonte David, his rookie year, nobody saw Lavonte David. I mean, there were people that did if you follow Nebraska and that kind of thing, but the majority, I can honestly tell you, weren't expecting Lavonte David to play the way he's played.
Well,
I mean, right off the rip.
Well, remember, even just on the line, if we're just going to stay linebacker, Quan Alexander, we had just paid Bruce Carter a nice contract to basically be a backup. Yeah. So, I mean, bringing guys who can compete. Yeah, for sure. That should be fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see camp. No OTAs for the Bucs, though. That's some news.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they're all consummate professionals. I think
just voluntary. It's just voluntary.
So, and I'm going to ask this. Let me throw this question out here, Michael, and I'm going to get to you with the other two questions. How do you feel about that? I would say the core of this team has been with Bruce Arians since 2019. I think that's fair to say. And I don't know that this is going to really hurt them in any way. To me, it wasn't big news. It's like, okay, it's voluntary. Yeah, some players might not be there, but I think when the time comes and it's time to really get down to business, I think you're going to see this team come together and do what they need to do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it's really news. I mean, again, it's voluntary. These guys know what they need to do. They have workout plans. They can still, make sure they're in shape. And really, that's it. I mean, they understand the scheme. They understand the offense. So really, I don't think it's a big thing. Now, if you're a younger player and you didn't play at all last year, then obviously, that could hurt a little bit, not being able to get with the coaches and do some, even though it's voluntary, at least do some workouts. But, just wait and see and see what they have planned for mandatory workouts. That's really going to be the test once we get later into the year, like June, July. Then I would say, we would like to have those guys, on the field and doing some workouts then. But again, they did last year at Berkeley Prep, and maybe that's something that they, bring back and, go from there and see what happens.
Yep. Shout out to Berkeley Prep.
Never heard of it. I've never heard of it.
This guy here. You better hope nobody's paying attention. Nobody's watching this from Berkeley.
Hey, all I can say is Berkeley over TC.
There you go.
That's for you.
So back to the second question. When you look at this roster top to bottom, Pless, are there places where players can come in and compete?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I think you're looking at a place that has never been seen by a Buccaneers franchise in history, as far as
like any team, really.
Yeah, any team. I mean, because usually there's some type of hole. I mean, the only hole that's out there right now is backup quarterback, and that I don't know what they're going to do there. So really, you're looking at it with, you might be cutting third round picks this year. I mean, it's that kind of thing. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn is no guarantee to make the roster.
Yeah.
I think they still draft a running back. Maybe it's not early now, but I still think they draft one.
Oh, yeah.
And, receiver, I think you're pretty much good there. I mean, if they look at a receiver, I think it's a guy that can do return abilities, return game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that can do, two birds with one stone kind of thing or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and that's been Jason Light's MO all along is players that can play multiple positions and do multiple things. I mean, if we go back to the beginning, it may not have always worked out, but that's always what Jason Light has looked for, those players that can do different things. They're not just pigeonholed into being a wide receiver or just a tight end. You can get out and block, or, there's a lot of stuff that they can do instead of just getting that guy that's one-dimensional.
Yeah, for sure. And when you look at the rest of the roster, I mean, really it's offensive line, defensive line, and that's really where the priorities should be, because when you look at it from a contract standpoint, offensive line makes a lot of sense. They definitely they could upgrade positions or upgrade over players like, Josh Wells and Aaron Stinney, by bringing in an offensive tackle, bringing in an interior offensive lineman that can play center snaps or play guard. Because right now they don't have a backup center, really. You don't have a guy that can do snaps, and you need that, especially with, Kappa and Ryan Jensen coming up for contracts next year. And then you look at the defensive tackle position and the outside linebacker, that's where your depth is going to be needed, because you look at next year, not all those guys are going to be coming back. I know they re-signed McClendon today.
Yeah.
Wait, they did?
Yeah, they did.
I missed that. I've been calling for that move. I didn't know that they did it.
Yeah, they re-signed McClendon today. So now you have Nacho and McClendon back. But again, those are guys that are just going to be depth players. Yeah, and they're going to be, just backups. And McClendon's probably not back next year. And then you have William Golston, who's a, unrestricted free agent. So there's a lot of things, where you look at the offensive line, defensive line, that's where they're going to add. But when you get to the rest of the roster, I mean, there's really not much. There's not much available. I mean, yeah, sure, you could use backup linebacker. What?
I kind of racked my brain on this, and I would think, I guess, when you have a situation like this, maybe it's possible you're looking for players to replace people that will be gone, like an Ndamukong Suh, or maybe an edge rusher like JPP that could potentially be gone after this year. These are things that I can't say, I can't look into the future, but that's probably, if I'm drafting for, the future, somebody that is going to be able to come in and be a difference maker. I mean, if you're going to get somebody at 32, they should be, they should still be a difference maker, unless you're going for trading back, which again, I could potentially see that as well, trading back and having more draft picks. But
even for next year's, like what I've talked about on this podcast, and I mentioned it with Michael on Monday. I mean, if you move back, like I want a 2022 second round pick. I don't think, like Mike said, we might have third, fourth round picks not even making this roster.
Yeah.
So trading up in multiple rounds might even be the move this year.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and I think it'll probably be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think there's a guarantee that Rojo's even on this roster this coming year. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be. I mean, you could see some serious changes that
I think it's a realistic expectation to have Rojo, if he's to be healthy, to be a 1,200, 1,300 yard rusher, especially if you play the assumption game that we're going to have some leads this year, that we're not going to play as much from behind. We're not going to have those early mistakes that we had the first, 8 weeks. And then we had, the down stretch, in the third quarter of the year. But like the majority of the regular season, we weren't like, clicking on all cylinders. Even if we start off a little bit slow, you got to think we're going to have some leads. Rojo, he can bust some runs, and he's going to, get the carries, because we all agree he's a better runner pound for pound than what Leonard Fournette is.
No doubt. I just think Rojo could be, if he doesn't really pick it up from a pass protection and
I think he's gone regardless.
Catching the football.
Even if he does well or does really bad or just struggles catching, because there's no value in that. The Bucs have no reason to pay him 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million.
And as much as I love Rojo, I've been president of the fan club. I can honestly tell you, I don't see him coming back next year. He would have to have a monster.
Well, I was talking about for this year.
Oh, this year? Yeah, that's
I'm talking about for this year. I don't even know if he'll be on the team this year. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, I know.
I missed that too. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my.
So I know it's an unpopular take, but I just feel like they like Leonard Fournette's ability to be that runner and catch the football. Same thing with Gio Bernard and also Keyshawn Vaughn. I think they like his upside, but yeah, I mean, I think Rojo is still the best running back as far as runner goes, but I mean, if he can't pick it up, and there's been a lot of times where he's out on the field and he misses pass protection and it cost us. So, if that doesn't improve, I mean, I could easily see it where they either try to trade him or they just take the dead cap hit.
Yeah. I think that Rams game, there were a couple of times that he missed picking up pass protection.
It wasn't just that game.
And
this one that kind of got to me though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this scenario is based on if they do pick a running back, I would say within like the first 4 rounds, and a guy that's really that they like if it's a Javonte Williams that falls somehow to 64, I think, then that scenario really picks up. But if they don't pick a running back early, then I could see where, that could be some competition, and maybe, you can, Keyshawn Vaughn, maybe that's a guy who, leaves or something like that.
I think COVID really hurt Keyshawn Vaughn, and he really didn't get the snaps. I guess the coaching staff really didn't get a good look at him like you normally would with a regular regiment season, like your OTAs camp, so on and so on.
Preseason. Because preseason's going to be Keyshawn Vaughn's show. Because, Rojo isn't going to play if he's on the roster and everything. If Leonard's not going to be playing, and I don't think Gio's going to play either. So
I think this will be a great opportunity for him. And if somebody else gets drafted behind him, this year, it'll be a great opportunity to see what you have with these players. So, nothing, again, the roster's fluid. And people have to keep that in mind. I mean, you may like a player because of the name on the jersey, but I'm telling you what, if they're not putting this team in a position to win, I can see a lot of players that you just would be shocked with. I'm sure there will be at least two to three shocking moves by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year when all is said and done with all the players that they have available right now.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I think, the opportunity to, maximize value in this draft, I think is going to be very important. And like you guys both said, I think trading back for picks for next year, I think is definitely an option. I think, trading up is definitely an option because again, the 5th, the 6th, 7th round picks, they aren't going to make this team. I'm sorry. They're just not, they're not going to be a quality player to, overtake someone else's job, whether it's a veteran or, a guy that's already established on this team. It's going to be very hard for them to do so, especially with limited preseason games as it is already going down to 3. So I could see where they're going to maximize, maybe try to get more top 100 picks either for this year or for next year. And
I could see it more so for next year, only because of the players that they have and the contracts that they have. And I can promise you, they're not going to do like the New Orleans Saints and kick the can down the road again. I think if they can be successful this year, I think that's where you see them letting players go and trying to, kind of rebuild from what they have through the draft or possibly free agency as well. So this is a very important season right here, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be successful. But after this season, it's kind of up in the air when you look at the salary cap and the players that could potentially leave.
100%. There's still some good veteran options out there. I mean, heck, Geno Atkins still hasn't signed anywhere. Yeah. Imagine if he was on this D-line. I mean, we already saw Gio basically sign for LaShawn McCoy's contract. Yeah, you don't know who might come here in August, in case an injury happens, or they're veterans on their last hurrahs who just got cut. I mean, it's going to be tough sledding for a lot of young players across the NFL this year. Yeah. But I mean, for these competitive teams, like, the Bucs, Chiefs, Packers, like, these rookies are going to have a real tough time making rosters.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just not going to be automatic. And you guys summed it up the best. I mean, when you look at this squad top to bottom, I just been going back and forth. I was thinking, and again, Stenny, it's going to be interesting to see, where he fits in. I think he's a great depth piece. I think he came in and did what he needed to do in the playoffs. Probably the most important part of the stretch for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you didn't hear his name called in a negative way. So that's definitely a plus for him. I'm looking along that offensive line, and it's kind of tough. I mean, running back room is full. Tight end is full. I mean, I know you don't have Antonio Brown, but you just don't know what the Bucs. I don't think the Bucs are done at wide receiver. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think they will squeeze somebody in there, whether it's AB or somebody else out there.
Yeah, I think definitely. When you look at it, O-line, D-line, and linebacker, I think are going to be definitely priorities. Because you got to add. They definitely want to get faster. They want to add, to their special teams core, and the best way to do that is find, athletes at linebacker and help you out there. Obviously you brought back Kevin Minter, who's a good reserve, but you could also, still upgrade the other spots. Again, you still have Cam Gill and some of these other guys that, they got some playing time and maybe they want to develop them more, but, it'll be interesting, see how they play it. But again, they are in such a great spot that you could go any of ways. Receiver could be a first round pick. You could go Elijah Moore and just kill every defense out there in the NFL and just forget about it. Because you could put him in the slot or put him outside, and Godwin can run, slot, all day, and it'll be over for teams.
I want to see Tyler Johnson. I want to see a lot of Tyler Johnson this preseason. And I'm very interested to see what he can do with the full, off season to work out.
Yeah. I mean, the top four receivers are already insane. I mean, you have, Evans and Godwin, and then Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson. Those four right there, that makes most of the teams out there in the NFL, they would love to have that,
because you look at a team like the Panthers.
Yeah.
And then you look at their wide receiver core and their running back room and their tight ends. I mean, you lose a Hall of Fame tight end, and all you've got basically is Christian McCaffrey. I mean, and I know that they have some good wide receivers. I'm not taking anything away from them, but when you compare roster versus roster, it's just crazy what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. I mean, and let's just look only on offense.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, you didn't have OJ Howard last year,
That's another guy. We haven't even brought his name up.
He was the best player 4 weeks through the season on offense. And that includes Brady. Like, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
It is going to be, I just hope and pray that he can get a full season in. Because I want to see him play a full season as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, just to see what he's capable of doing.
I pray for him just so he can get paid. Imagine if he puts up his potential numbers and plays a full season.
Yeah.
I know, because that's all OJ is.
Yeah.
OJ equals potential. Like that. Yeah. That's all we've been talking about for 5 years now. But like, if he actually plays up to it, my God.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, just what we saw from him, that little sample that we saw from him was just incredible, and you just knew that he was just going to continue to build with Brady. And again, that's a name that we haven't talked about him that much in the offseason. And here's a guy that's going to be back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, you pretty much, if he has a full season, you just take Cam Brate's money and you add it to O.J. Howard's contract, and that's pretty much what he would be getting. So
bye, Cam.
Yeah, bye, Cam.
So will Cam Brate will be a Buccaneer for the 2021 season so far, correct?
I don't know.
So.
I don't know. Again, it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen.
Well, they still have to move some money around, even just to do the signings that they've just recently done. So I think I think it's going to be Ryan Jensen's going to get 2 years, but Peter Report recently dropped a thing that he might have been playing through some injuries last year, and maybe his injuries might keep the Bucs from, maybe looking at, Landon Dickerson or potential center replacements like long term. But I mean, I don't know what you really can do and not be happy. There's about like 30 guys that the Bucs could pick round 1, pick 32. I'd be like, great, welcome aboard.
Yeah.
I mean, short of drafting Kyle Trask, I don't think I can have a rage reaction.
Yeah, I don't think they're taking quarterback at 32. Unless, for some weird reason Justin Fields falls to 32.
Okay, can we talk about him just really quick? Chris Mortensen had a thing yesterday on
that was stupid.
ESPN where he said that Fields has, quote, like bad mechanics, unquote, because he plays baseball. Okay, the dude hasn't played baseball in let's say this 3 years. He hasn't played baseball. And when was the last, or when did becoming multi-sport athletes become a bad thing? You give me 2 guys with the same talent levels, I'm taking the guy who played the other sport. Imagine all that other time that they could dedicate to this sport and how much better they can be.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But if he slides, someone's going to be happy because he might not be the best quarterback in the draft. Fine, whatever. But if you can get him number 5, 10, if he somehow gets to 15 for the Patriots.
There you go.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that Blaine Gabbert's coming back.
Oh, me too. I think Blaine Gabbert, maybe even Ryan Griffin, and then maybe Drew Stanton. I think those are the 4, maybe 3 come back.
Yeah. Again, as much as I
have Blaine Gabbert, and I have them drafting a quarterback, but it's going to be much later, I think.
Who's your guy? Who's the guy you want?
Who's your late round quarterback?
I mean, the guy I would love to have, and again, that's another unpopular opinion, but Kellen Mond is someone that I would like to have.
It's not unpopular. He has everything that Bruce
I just think he'd be
wants.
cool. Yeah.
What round? What round?
It'd be day 3.
Okay. Do you think he'll be around day 3? That's the only issue with these quarterbacks, man.
Probably not. He probably won't make it to round 4. If it's someone day 3 that will be there for sure, then I would say like a Jamie Newman. I would like to take a chance on. The guy from Georgia he played at Vanderbilt, then transferred to Georgia.
Yeah, he was in the QB1 thing on Netflix. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind him. And maybe real late is Felipe Franks, just because he's got a cannon. But other than that, yeah.
This is how bad I am. Didn't he play at Florida? And then
he did
wasn't
play at
good,
Florida.
But he wasn't good, right?
He wasn't good. He had a much better year at Arkansas.
What is it? And just real curious, what is it about Kellen Mond that you like about him? I just
feel
for A&M, right? This is the quarterback from A&M, correct? Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like he didn't really have much around him, and I thought he did a lot better as he continued forward, as he progressed each year. I thought he got better from a completion standpoint, from just being more decisive, being more accurate. It still has some of his inconsistencies, but again, it's the talent that was around him. He didn't have much to work with from a receiving standpoint. They had Kylan Hill, who's a decent running back, but I just felt like he sometimes got put in bad situations, but I thought he was the highlight of their team for sure.
He's that guy who just checks off boxes to me. He has the height, has the arm,
he passes
has
that
he's the eye test guy, but
yeah.
Is he ready? Should he be starting week 1?
No.
Or even year 2 of his NFL career? Probably not.
No.
But he's that guy, if he, sat, could be toolsy, if his career was anything like, let's say, a Kirk Cousins, like that would be the high point, I think, for a guy like Kellen Mond, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
People, that's what I hate about comps. People think some comps are just like bad. Like not every comp has to be to a legend or a Hall of Famer in order for them to be seen as good. If I comp someone to Alex Smith, that's not a bad thing. You know how much money Alex Smith made in his career and how many wins he has in his career? Circa, his first 4 years, but like.
And the one thing that I appreciated about Alex Smith is his first 5 years, he was just trash.
That's what I mean. And he was the number 1 overall pick. He was a bust.
Bad situation. Very bad situation.
But he had it from here. And he didn't let that ruin his career and make him that journeyman player.
They tried to do a lot of things with him that just weren't going to work. And then, the team that he had around him was just, it was very bad. And again, that happens with a lot of these top draft picks. They come into very bad situations. Yeah, very bad situations. And the coaching staff, or the front office and, coaching staff combined, they don't do a good job of putting these players where they can have success early to build confidence. And
on these quarterbacks, I have a question for you, Plus. Is Kyler Murray good? Because, I mean, they're getting a lot of hype even still. I see even projections where they're on par with the 49ers if healthy, the Rams. That NFC West is being touted as the best division in football. And, I don't hear Cliff Kingsbury's job, on the hot seat. Yeah. They're making all these splash moves. They brought in AJ Green. I mean, they're trying to, compete not only for the division, but for the NFC. Yeah. So Kyler Murray is probably the guy who came into the right situation, the right coach that fit what he does. But they've been 7-9. Yeah. Is he good enough to make them a playoff team?
I think he is, personally.
I think Kyler, I think he's talented. Obviously he's talented. He's got a cannon. He can throw it anywhere, to all sides of the field. Obviously his running skills are very elite, as he can make things happen. And that's probably why he doesn't need a great offensive line in front of him. But, they're trying to build around that team. And again, I think a lot of their downfalls was just inconsistency from not only Kyler, but the defense as well. Some things that didn't go well on that side. As far as Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know if he's the right guy. I don't know if he is the dude to really accelerate Kyler's ability. Elevate to be the best he can be, I think Kyler will get there, though. I think he'll get there because he is good enough.
I think this is all the Patrick Mahomes effect, to be honest. When you look at the move that the Arizona Cardinals made, getting rid of a coach that only had a year to be there, you draft your franchise quarterback, and then you blow it all up. You bring in a Cliff Kingsbury because he was the coach for Kyler Murray, and then you bring in not Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. Me. Sorry. And then you bring in this player that plays similar. They're not even remotely close to the same, but similar to a Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. And they feel like because he coached a player like that he would be able to do that in the NFL. But
on that note, Gene, I have a question for you then. If Zach Wilson steps into the NFL, do you think he would even be the number 2 overall pick if there wasn't a Kyler Murray or a Patrick Mahomes in the NFL?
No.
I don't think so either. And
NFL is a copycat league. And when you don't see success, I mean, the quarterback for the Ravens,
Lamar
Jackson. Lamar is good, but he's not. Wasn't able to take his team to a Super Bowl like a Patrick Mahomes. So when it wasn't until the success of Patrick Mahomes that people started looking at quarterbacks like that, like your Joe Burrow, who can make plays with his legs, but he can still throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Lamar Jackson, I think that is one example that I do like, and how they've, they haven't given him much as far as receivers, obviously.
Right.
But as far as playing to his strengths, as far as running the football and utilizing the play action pass, I really like what they've done. As far as really making sure they have a strong offensive line. Now that's something that they need to continue to add to. I think they got they got the free agent, I think Zeitler they picked up, which is a good move.
Yeah.
To help their O-line. Obviously losing Marshall Yonda, that's a big loss.
Well, they're a team that's looking at your boy Landon Dickerson. From what I read.
That would be a perfect pick for them. It makes a lot of sense. I could see either them or Green Bay, looking at that dude.
Oh, absolutely. I could see Green Bay. Green Bay is needing to do something.
Well, they lost arguably the top probably 2 or 3 best center in the NFL.
Lindsay, yep. Yeah. So, I mean, and again, back to the quarterbacks, looking at, this quarterback class, obviously Trevor Lawrence, I think he's got what you want from the quarterback position, obviously going to be the first round pick or first overall. Me personally, I would take Justin Fields over Zach Wilson. I like Zach Wilson. I like his game. I like his ability. But he's going into a very tough environment with New York. I don't know how he's going to. Hopefully, I think he's got the personality to survive there. He's got that look. He's got that kind of band boy look.
Toughness though, man. You gotta, especially in New York, they'll eat you alive.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he's got the toughness. Again, he's got all the tools like we talk about. He can make any throw. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. And then, the whole hype on Mac Jones and,
who? Mac Jones.
Jones. I mean, Mac Jones going 3rd overall to San Francisco.
Well, what I hear is he's baby Brady. So shouldn't the Bucs be trying to trade up for him, Pless? I say that with zero sarcasm at all.
No, I don't see Mac Jones being a Buccaneer, but as far as, him going top 5, again, very interesting.
Oh God, if the 49ers take him, Pless.
I think they are going to do it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
Still holding hope on the field
for Garoppolo then, at that point.
I think Garoppolo is going to be on his way out. Obviously, they're trying to trade him. They're not going to get any compensation for him with that contract.
Yeah, Bill's like, I'll give you a 7th in 2025. You want it?
I'll give you a half bag of Skittles for it.
But I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. I would go Justin Fields at 3 if it was me for San Francisco. I think that's a perfect fit. Trey Lance, whether it's Atlanta or Denver or New England, I think is all good fits for him. Or even at Carolina, I think Carolina could still take a quarterback at 8, regardless of the Sam Darnold acquisition.
I'm glad
you get rid of Teddy. I would consider it.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought him up. How good can he be?
Trey Lance?
No, Sam Darnold. And the reason I ask that, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, he didn't have the weapons around him. And I've seen quarterbacks that make the team, like Joe Burrow. I thought Joe Burrow did an amazing job with what he had and until he got destroyed. But I thought he did a great job. As a quarterback, that's what you want to do, is make the players around you better. And I was just wondering, do you think that a player like a Sam Darnold coming to a young Carolina Panthers team, that he can actually help this team to improve?
I think he'll be. I don't know. It's hard to tell because he just hasn't shown he's good. That's the problem.
Right.
And he's already, again, he's still very young. He's only, I think, 24, 25. And he's, I don't know. I mean, I think the hope is Joe Brady is there and they can turn some things around for him. Obviously, having a Christian McCaffrey helps because he can take a lot of pressure off of him, as far as just running the football or catching, short passes. So, I mean, it just remains to be seen. I don't know if he's going to be that guy that gets them over the hump and they get into, a wild card position or a playoff spot. So I'm not very high on Sam Darnold. I don't think, I mean, he is what he is. I don't think it's going to change much. I don't think he's going to, magically, become this top 10 type of quarterback. It's just not going to happen for me.
So why wouldn't you stick with a Teddy Bridgewater then?
Teddy, the problem with Teddy is last year he couldn't close games, and whether that's his fault or it's the defense's fault because they're very young. Mm-hmm. I would have to look back and see how many leads he had going into the fourth quarter. But
because that's what I kind of got out of it. I watched that Chiefs game like 3 times.
They were 0-8 in close games. I mean, that's something that, that leans towards the quarterback. Again, it's not always his fault, but Again, Teddy's the same thing. He's just an average quarterback. He's just a
Right.
guy. You know,
Right.
I want to talk about this possibility. Is something I thought about the other night. I don't think he's going to get cut because he basically is going to get owed 20 of his 22 million against the cap. Hypothetically, let's say he did. Would you be okay if the Bucs signed him for, a backup quality contract?
No.
Okay. It's something I just thought about because he was their number 2 guy last year. At least that's what's been linked out by, different media sources. So that's why I was like, hey, if you got him for, let's say his contract was, $1 million guaranteed, $5 million, with incentives. Was that something you would even consider, or just like, nah, just stick with Blaine Gabbert, stick with, Drew Stanton, those kind of guys?
Yeah, I wouldn't entertain it. It's just, as far as him being the number 2, I don't even buy that really. Okay. I think if they couldn't get Brady, then Jameis likely would have been back somehow. That's just me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have happened. You have to be a fool not to pick up Tom Brady and bring him in. You just, especially with everything, with the way everything went. So, I'm right there with you guys.
Either that or they would have drafted a quarterback, but
that would have been an uphill climb right there.
I didn't see Teddy as an option. That's just me.
Yeah. But based on what you're saying, I can see that. Carolina, the Panther Nation wanted Teddy. They wanted him to launch his ass into the sun.
Still do.
They still do. It's a tough conversation to have with a Panther fan about Teddy Bridgewater. I know that a lot of fans thought that the team was going to be like 0-6 with Teddy Bridgewater. But, there were games where he played, he did what he had to do. But again, like you said, when you're 0-8 in close games, and, as Bucs fans, we can remember this. This wasn't that long ago that as Bucs fans, we had to deal with the very same thing. Mm-hmm. So I totally am of the mindset that a quarterback can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Well, that's what gets Seattle through is Russell Wilson in close games, because I think they basically each year there's the statistical anomaly in terms of most teams, flip flop between, like, let's say 4-3, 3-4 in terms of, games within like 3 points. Like the Seahawks each year are like 7-2. Like it's just crazy how that, how that has worked out for them. They don't have a strong roster outside of Tyler Lockett, DK, and Russell Wilson. Like, you do that with, like, the Panthers. Let's say if they were 4-4 in those close games, the end of the year 7-9. Do you think people are, screaming for Teddy's head? I really don't think so. But yeah. I think that also that last season showed them that Teddy's just not the guy, and I think they just structured the deal wrong.
But keep this in mind, though. You didn't have Christian McCaffrey. Real. Think about this. Who was the? I can't even remember the running back's name. Who was the running back for Carolina last year?
Davis. Forgot his first name.
How many teams in the NFL?
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis. How many teams in the NFL does Mike Davis start for? If you just go and break down every team, and consider where does he fall as far as being a running back. And then you look at what Christian McCaffrey is capable of doing and how he can break open games and his speed. And there are defenses that can't handle the run and they can't handle a passing running back. And the fact that you don't have this player at your disposal and you're playing with a brand new team, and there's just so many different factors. I just think it was just kind of you're right. He is that bridge quarterback, but I really do believe if he had more talent around him, he would have been a little bit better than what he was.
Also, let's pretend like their defense, they just weren't good. Like they drafted all defensive rookies, and let's talk about it.
There's a lot of youth on that defensive side of the ball too.
The Panthers had 3 1,000. That's rare. Teddy threw them the ball. It wasn't PJ Walker. I'm not saying Teddy's your guy or should be the guy, or they should, have gotten Sam Darnold or a different quarterback. But I don't think Teddy deserved the blame for all this, especially when you say Christian McCaffrey, who's their franchise guy, no matter who's quarterback. When Cam Newton was there, Christian McCaffrey was the guy. So, he was out for 8 weeks.
How many games did McCaffrey play last year? Like maybe
like 5'6",
5 or 6, something like that. And just consider you don't have that. And then a couple of games he wasn't 100%, and then he gets injured and goes right back out. But again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying when you look at everything, I don't know why Sam Darnold. I don't know. He may be that guy. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be interesting to see, Carolina versus Atlanta and see how they do. It should be something like that. So,
yeah, McCaffrey played 3 games last season.
holy shit!
I mean,
I think it was 3.
I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, I mean that's a big hit. Anytime you lose, a guy like that, obviously it's going to hurt your offense. But for me, looking at the Panthers, obviously young on defense, they're investing into that side of the ball. With Teddy, he's just up and down.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing consistent.
When he's good, he's good. Again, the pieces around him, yeah, sure, they could be better, no doubt. But the contract that he was given, and he's supposed to.
You're expecting more from him.
Yeah, and I think the coaching staff and the front office definitely did, and they're a little disappointed. And obviously, that's why they try to get Matt Stafford. They're trying to maybe potentially trade up for one of these quarterbacks or wait for one of these guys.
If I was the Lions, I would have taken that number 8 pick before 220 picks. Possibly from the Rams.
So what? Do you guys think I think Matt Stafford's on the back end of his career.
Oh no, I'm talking about the Lions' perspective. If I'm the
okay.
Lions, I'm taking the number 8 pick before I'm taking 2 future firsts from the Rams. Personally, I don't see the Rams finishing in the top 10 anytime soon. Where you can get I'm sure it was 1 and then some too. It's not like it was just 8. I would have probably just taken that. I would have loved to face Matt Stafford on that Panthers team. I think it would have gotten killed.
Yeah,
personally. But I guess that's Sam Darnold's turn this time.
Yeah, because he's not mobile like Cam Newton was. You're talking about it totally. But he's not like he's not a statue, but he's just not Cam Newton.
Oh, they're taking a tackle or offensive lineman in that first pick.
You think so? You think
I would probably bet money on that. If Sewell falls to them, God, I hope he doesn't. But probably like a Rashawn Slater.
I'm thinking Sewell. I think Sewell, Penei Sewell ends up with the Bengals.
I hope he ends up with the Bengals for Joe Burrow's sake, but they have 2 decent tackles, so it's like
Chase is going to be the
but that's the thing is Jamar Chase is his former teammate Joe Burrow. Even while he's sitting on the couch, eating some chips, is like I want my boy Jamar. He got me that number 1 pick. Yeah. Him and Justin Jefferson.
You can't pass up a Jamar Chase. When you have an opportunity to get a guy like that, you do it.
What if the Falcons drafted Jamar and then traded Julio? I'm not saying it's going to happen. What if they did? That'd be awesome for Falcons perspective. Good for us.
Yeah, the draft starts at 4. It's going to be very interesting to see, what happens if they do Kyle Pitts. Do they take a quarterback?
I hope they take a quarterback. That would be so awesome if they took a quarterback. I don't think Trey Lance is that guy. And he's not playing for 3 years.
Well, yeah. They just redid Matt Ryan's deal. Obviously, I think they should trade down. They need defense. That's where they need to, lock and load. It makes sense to.
But what team's going to trade up to 4, though?
The New England Patriots are sitting at number 4, though.
15.
15.
Are they?
Yeah, no. Atlanta's 4.
But I thought, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I think Atlanta trades back because
it takes Pitts. I think it's Pitts or trade back for them. And I wouldn't be mad at a Pitts pick at 4. That's a pretty good spot for him to be a number 2 tight end to start off his career. Just be an offensive weapon. Has Matt Ryan, has people around him. He's just going to be a matchup nightmare. Which the Bucs that have 2 linebackers that can cover them, but no other team in the NFL does. That's for sure. And damn sure the Saints don't, because I want to hear they have Demario Davis and Alex Anzalone, who's no longer on the team, as their linebackers. Alex, you know how many times I heard, last year Demario Davis and Alex Anzalone are the best tandem in the NFC South and then the entire NFL. And I'm sitting there just even when Devin White wasn't playing good, I'm like, really, y'all?
Yeah,
really.
I remember those days. I definitely remember those days. So, you know.
I think the Saints are a fun team since we've talked about every other team in the division in terms of the draft because they can really go a lot of directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they could go cornerback. You could look at, defensive line. Offensive line could be something they look at. There's a lot of quarterback. Yes, for
Tight
sure.
end.
Oh yeah, tight end. No Jared Cook anymore.
Yep, he's gone.
Yeah, I think defense is probably where they go though, just because of what they've lost. They've lost Sheldon Rankins. He lost Malcolm Brown.
Sheldon
Man.
end up at?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Where did Sheldon Rankins end up?
Somewhere in the West.
I want to say, well, Malcolm Brown went to Jacksonville, I want to say, and then Sheldon Rankins, I believe, was traded to someone.
No, he's with the Jets. He signed with the Jets.
That's
Jesus
right.
Christ, man.
Yep.
Sucks for him.
Malcolm
Get
Brown
that
was
money.
traded.
Yeah, Malcolm Brown.
He must really hate his life.
Yeah.
I think Miami's going to be better than the Jets. That's my personal opinion.
Miami's, yeah. I mean, it just depends on Tua. Again, it's all Tua,
And I don't know. So for you, I'm gonna ask you guys. I don't think we've actually gotten to this. You got the number 32 pick. What are you doing? Are you making a pick? And if you are making a pick,
man, I wonder who Pless is gonna pick. I'll let him go first.
If your guy's available at number 32, who you got?
Oh man. I mean, top choice obviously is Jalen Phillips. I mean, if he's there, that's
my guy.
That's my dude. If he's available,
you had to pick somebody else. That was my guy.
I'll pick. Oh, that's not fair.
I mean, I think it's a loaded question because again, there's so many scenarios.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if a certain pass rusher falls, like if it's a Azeez Ojulari or a Jalen Phillips, a Kwity Paye, someone like that falls to 26 or maybe 27 around that range.
Let me narrow it down for you. Would you go offensive line, defensive line? Where at would you on this Bucs roster? Where would you pick to bring somebody in?
I mean, offensive line would be my choice again because I just love Landon Dickerson, but I mean. That would be a great pick. I like Joe Tryon. I really like him. I like Joseph Asai. If I wanted to go edge defender, ideally I would like to trade back and get more picks either for next year or future years, what have you. But yeah, I mean, if I have to stick and pick, I like Landon. I just think he makes a lot of sense. He can really bolster your depth on the offensive line. He can do two positions, and really you got a stud, for the next 10 years if he's hopefully healthy and medical checks out, which I think it did. And I think he'll be I don't think you have to worry about injuries going forward.
All right, KB, who you got? Who are you? What's the move, man?
I'm gonna preface this. I'm just gonna. I mean, edge. I've been on record for months saying edge is what I want. So I got 5 edge guys. You can think of the big 5. Between Phillips, Kwity Paye, the other Miami kid. My God, Rousseau. So basically, your standard 5, like Joe Tryon and all those guys. Then, like an offensive tackle or offensive guard center, like a Landon Dickerson, if, someone like Rashawn Slater or one of the big, like, offensive tackles were to fall, like, take advantage of that. Ones that can play guard, too. So think of, like, Kappa, that could be, like, swing, it could be swing, left guard, or guard on both sides, tackle, be that 6th offensive lineman, someone who's just athletic. But then I think a sleeper on the defensive side would be Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. If somehow he's there, he can be a Leo, a Jack, if you're all familiar with those kind of football terms. He's that wild card. Just throw, like, any sort of letter on the field. He can play the back 7. He could fill in for Devin White if he was injured. He could fill in for he's more of like a Levante David in terms of skill set. And I think that's just a true wild card at 32 in terms of, like, you're not going, because I think the running backs will be, like, best players available probably at that point. But I think he's that next defensive guy who's not edge.
Kind of like we expected Kendall Beckwith to be, but we didn't get to see that actually happen.
To me, Beckwith is more like Devin White, just not as quick. because he's a little bit bigger of a guy. Owusu Koromora is like Levante David. He's probably a little bit undersized for the linebacker position. He's that safety linebacker hybrid. He's that guy who can blitz. He can come off the edge. He can guard man to man. So like he could guard like the Kyle Pittses of the world. He could play slot corner. He can. So if like let's say Sean Murphy Bunting were ever injured, I mean he can compete with. I keep forgetting his name, Cockrell, who just resigned. Like that would be the natural step. And so would he be better than let's say a Ross Cockrell? I think someone's going to take him before us, but he's that guy because it's the tweener life. Like I mean, they could go earlier than you expect. They can go way later than you expect. So, I mean, like, he's that guy that I think Todd Bowles could be like, I could identify a position for him and also have him in on sub packages to really cause some havoc.
Yeah. I think for me, it's going to be, I would love to see Barmore, Christian Barmore.
You just said you're taking Jalen Phillips.
He's already picked it. I can't do it like that. I can't do him dirty.
So you told us not to do it, but then you take it and then you don't take it.
No, but I make the rules. So we all make the rules. We can all.
It's your podcast, man.
Yeah, we can all share this.
We bow to you.
I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. Oh, this is my podcast, and you can do. No, we're all.
He's a dictator behind doors.
No, but I would love to see him. I would.
Let's go, Pless. Keeping it going.
I would love to see them do something on that defensive line to just continue to bolster that. I don't know if it's because of the lack of attention that we've seen on the defensive line over the past decade, or is it, I don't know what it is, but I just would love to see them continue to pay attention to that defensive line as long as they're getting quality players that can come in and do something.
I think D tackle is that round 2 move in my eyes. I don't think Christian Barmore's there because I see a team like the Vikings taking him because there's, Barmore. Then to me, there's a little bit of a drop off. I mean, not too big of one, but enough in terms of like names for first round consideration. So I think that, we've talked about Levi or Uzuriki, but there's also a couple other people that I think that could be available in round 2 that could, be able to, back up Sue to start, but then maybe even be able to play a vital role, seasons following.
So, it's interesting. Matt was saying that he's turned off by Barmore based on what Warren Sapp said.
Warren Sapp ain't watching shit. I'm sorry.
But the thing is, Warren Sapp still thinks that Vita Vea is okay. He's like,
he said that before Vita Vea even took a snap. He's like, that guy's he's too fat that he's just gonna, be too tired in Florida. Yeah. I'm sorry, Vita Vea plays how many snaps? When he's healthy, because he pro season he played lower snaps than he normally would. But he's playing 50-60% of snaps. Like Vita Vea ain't coming off the field that much for someone that size.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't listen to anything Sapp said. Sapp doesn't watch crap. Sapp is only worried about what Sapp's doing, which I think he's helping out Coach Sanders' college team every now and then. I forgot what college that is.
Yeah, I'll throw out one. You talk about JKO, but I really like Zaven Collins. I think that guy could be a unique pick at 30.
That guy's a monster.
Yeah, I mean he just stands out.
But my only thing is, where is he? Linebacker is just like if you're drafting a first round linebacker, I feel like I got to see him at least to me. It's like running back. Like linebacker, running back. If you draft him first round, I kind of want to see him. So for Zaven, where would you see him? What's his role his first year at least?
I think he's a guy that just comes in as far as a sub package. He could be a guy that could help you in coverage. He could help you as far as a blitzer. He could help you as far as just providing edge rush. I think he's got that size where he could really transform into an edge defender. Really, he's got the skill set to do that. I mean, he's 6'5", 260. Can run a 4.6 40. So he's fast enough. He's got everything you want from an instinctive standpoint. Again, former quarterback as well. So he understands how to read offenses and he knows where to be. So I think adding him to, as far as being like maybe a money backer, as far as playing that type of role where he's in coverage, I think he'd be a hell of a pick to add to a defense that really likes to be versatile and how they attack offenses. So I would like him at 32. I mean, he was someone, as far as a wild card pick, if that's someone that they are interested in. Also cornerback. I think Greg Newsome.
Newsome, me too. Me too.
Be a hell of a pick.
Because I think there's a realistic chance of him being there. I really do.
It's a possibility. Again, you don't know what's going to happen with Caleb Farley. I know his medical, cleared, but you never know if he falls.
Well, Drew Brees medical cleared for the Saints, but didn't clear for the Dolphins. So I mean, these different teams, man, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, again, it's all options on the table. It's a great spot to be in. I think it's going to be so fun just to really just watch how it breaks down.
So real quick, I wanted to get your opinion on Asante Samuel Jr.
Not a fit, but
for the Bucs, yeah, he's good.
In general as a player, not so much for the Bucs.
I think he's a solid pick or solid player, I should say. I don't see him as far as the Bucs is concerned, but I think he's a guy that could go in anywhere from.
I think the Eagles is. I think the Eagles is his ceiling in terms of fit.
Yeah,
for a team which 12, I believe.
I don't see him going that high, but I could see him definitely going early day 2. I think anywhere from 33 to 45 in that range, 30, to 50 maybe as his lowest.
See, I think Farley's injury is what made 12 possible for him, because I think in terms of fit, I think he's the type of cornerback that the Eagles covet. But I agree that 20s is probably his, for other teams, realistic expectation.
Yeah.
So what are the major strengths of the draft? I mean, overall position.
Offensive line.
Offensive line.
This is last year we had the big 4 and there was a big drop off.
Tackle class is deep. Interior offensive line I think is good.
Weaker center class, I would say. Like that's where Landon Dickerson gets his most value. But yeah, I like the guard tackle class, especially tackles who can play guards. I think that because there's a lot of big beefy bodies in this draft overall.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, quarterback class, I think is pretty good. I think the receiver class is deep. Again, it's more inside receivers. It's a lot of
every year, man. These receivers and these running backs, there's just more and more and more and more. You can find Tyler Johnson in the 5th round. Who could you find this year in the 5th round? My good. I think there's a better receiving class this year than last year.
Well, really? it's just slot heavy. It's a lot of guys that can play inside.
Dynamic players.
Yeah, not too many that can really dominate on the outside. I think there's a lot that, could be that inside type of player, can offer some more versatility as far as an offense where kind of like that Deebo Samuel type of role. I see a lot of those kind of guys.
Well, that's what the NFL is going to now. This field's spreading more horizontally as, the years progress. And that's why we're seeing more and more points. So if it takes 15 catches to go 80 yards. That's what Drew Brees did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I mean, that's what Kyler Murray is just as low of a, pass per attempt or yards per attempt type of guy.
I agree with that. Running back class, I think is top heavy. I don't think it's as deep. I think next year's class is better as far as running back position. And then defensively, obviously defensive tackle is the weakest of the weak. I think that's the weakest position in this class. It's not good. Edge class is, I think, again, I
think it's top 100 at heavy, and then it drops off.
Right.
Big time.
Again, with the edge and the D tackle class, you have a lot of guys that are just very raw, and that could be something down the road. So there's a lot of.
Speaking of raw, we haven't talked about Jason Owe today.
Yeah.
We named like every. He's the guy who I think is the hottest name right now, just because of raw traits.
Well, yeah. So, the problem with Owe is his athletic traits it doesn't show up on tape consistently, and that's the problem.
Wasn't he the guy with 0 sacks?
0 sacks, and he struggles to his get off is not fast like it should be. A guy that runs 4.3, he should be able to explode off the ball, and he just
is that pro day 4.3 though? Let's be real. Is that pro day 4.3?
Yeah, probably.
Because if it's pro day 4.3, or 40, my 4.9 is really a 4.7. I should have been a first round pick.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean,
am I 6'0"? What is that? Where does that put me at?
Yeah, right? Tom Brady goes from the 1th percentile to the 40th percentile if he had his pro day at Michigan.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have a pro day. We'll see how that all works out.
If you like what you heard.
If you like comedy, yeah.
Next year's combine, we'll throw some bench press in a 40 out for everyone.
Hey, I got the Wonderlic covered. Covered. I scored a 35 on the Wonderlic, so
that's awesome.
Did you actually?
Yeah,
that's nuts. Cool. I suck at standardized tests. Oh, wait, yeah, that was your Twitter like handle.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I won't ever take it again because, man, that question.
No, you got to go out on a high, man.
I'm going out on a high right there. 35 on the Wonderlic right there.
Is that available like online? Like you could
Yeah, I
take
get
it?
you the link. I'll get you the link for it. But yeah, it's kind of cool to take
I'll
it.
see how good I do. I probably
Yeah.
I probably won't do well either. But
Yeah, you got to give yourself one practice one. I feel like because we haven't been in a standardized test room in forever. Man.
Yeah, I left that back.
You have to take a practice one for the because of COVID. You can take a practice one, and then we'll get to the.
Then we'll score. Yeah.
I think I got over like 1,000 on the SATs and like a 20 on the ACT, and I left that at that. You know, I thought those were good scores.
My numbers were like lower tier at Berkeley. So, I was an athlete, man.
Yeah. I was a partier. I was an athlete first, and then I changed into a partier. But
there you go, man. But you got to enjoy it. You have those memories, and nobody can take from you. Well, guys, this has been so much fun, man.
If only they told us it was cool back then, Pless.
Yeah. We just kind of did. I mean, the statute of limitations is up, but yeah, I did steal the nativity scene from in front of a bank, and I actually did it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was fun. Like college was fun.
That was Gene's senior prank.
Yeah, exactly. So, guys, I want to get your final thoughts before we roll up out of here. Plus, hopefully, we can get you on next week again. I don't know what your schedule's like. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, I'll do my best. I feel like I'm spoiling you guys, but
we spoiled this draft season, baby.
Exactly, man. We got to take it where we can get it.
If not next week, then the following week, like right before the draft, so that way we can all geek out together.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, final thoughts again. Just enjoy the next couple of weeks because again, you're going to hear a lot of things that are going to come down the pipe. There's going to be moves that haven't been made yet that will materialize. So it's really just going to be a fun process. As far as Real Bucs Talk, we're going to have more content just flowing. Okay. We're going to try to have it every day as far as new videos. So just keep looking that up and find us on YouTube at Real Bucs Talk. Other than that, man, I'm ready for this draft. I need a nap, like a long nap. But man, it's been.
To tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, dude. You do amazing work. I love I got to see these two guys on Real Bucs Talk on Monday. Great show, by the way. KB, you guys did great. I love the interaction.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, just find us at Twitter at Real Bucs Talk. My link's up there to the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, and you'll get every video that pops up.
All right, KB, final thoughts, my friend.
EA, can you fix Madden? I want to be able to. I know my boy Gene just got a PS5, and he's enjoying life over there. But I haven't even been able to play with my Buccaneers on any sort of Madden to enjoy the roster that we have because everything I hear is how broken the game is. And there's the big, franchise was ruined thing. Like if they ever fix Madden, y'all let me know so that way I can, get me a PS5 and, maybe me and Gene can stream one night or some funny things for all you guys. We can be Bucs versus Bucs.
Yeah,
have fun with that because I want to play with this team. I need I feel too detached this year with COVID. I need to be in the stadium. I need to I gotta be around this team. I gotta use Brady. I've never used Brady in in a game since I was 12. I need more Bucks in my life. So EA, fix Madden. You'll get my money, but fix it first, and y'all just let me know. Bucs Barrett on Twitter. That's it.
There you go.
Bucs _Barrett. Yeah, Bucs.
Yeah, there you go. Again, guys, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody in the chat.
Smack Apparel. Bucs Report. Bucs Report. Oh, you're getting there. Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure we don't forget. I gotta make sure your bills get paid. It's the middle of the month. Rent's coming up.
I'm not going to forget Smack Apparel and, of course, Bucs Report for giving us the platform to do this on. I appreciate all you guys. Keith, Joshua Cole, Allen, of course, Real Bucs Talk. You can find Real Bucs Talk on Bucs Report. Evan Winter, the guy who, he doesn't have time.
He does 4 articles a day now. Like
He's
this
a big
guy is
time racer,
full-time writer now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna say?
I was gonna say no, he's big time now.
Yeah, he's a big
Mr.
timer.
runs all the Bucs Report writing now, which I mean, there's some great articles. So make sure
Yeah,
you all
some
go
really
on
good
Bucs
articles.
Report.
Yeah. And of course, you can find Real Bucs Talk on Bucs Report. And I do want to shout out Smack Apparel. Smack Apparel has been it's been amazing. I mean, we've been working with them, through last season. Rocking some of their amazing T-shirts, prophetic T-shirts right here. Defend the Bay. Way before the Bucs even got to the Super Bowl, but they were talking about Defend the Bay. So it's exciting. It's really going to be awesome to see what they come up with next. Look for the John Lynch Hall of Fame T-shirt. It's going to be amazing. Again, I can't say enough about those guys and what they do. Hopefully next week we can have a little bit more fan interaction as we get closer to the draft. I didn't really I wanted to get in with Pless and KB because you guys have really done amazing. And I kind of had some questions based off of, what you guys talked about on Monday, but I thought it was really great. And I do, hopefully you can come back again, but I would like to get the fans a little bit more involved, not just in the chat, but I appreciate you guys in the chat as well. So we're going to go ahead and roll out of here. I'm going to let you get back to your night. Folks, thank you again. Hopefully, next week you can check us out again and we will be doing this again. So we are out of here.